Because this is what we do. We all have our own unique set of beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about life, about work. But the mistake we make is we actually project these beliefs out onto the world and then live into them as if they're true. But you don't know if they're true. They reside in your mind. And while this is a problem, and by the way, you'll always find proof that your beliefs are true. And while this is a problem for us as speakers, as entrepreneurs, we prevent our own forward movement this way. For a minute, imagine you put 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 employees in an organization, all projecting their own beliefs about their manager, their company, the work they do out there, and living into that, and you've got a massive problem. I call it the silent condition killing organizations today. And it's very simply being manager-centric versus customer-centric. So let me give you an example. Longtime client of mine sent one of their senior vice presidents of one of their global divisions to me and said, please, can you help? The woman felt like she was unacceptable. Okay, she felt like she didn't like herself, like nobody else could like her, like she didn't know what she was doing, and because she believed this, she automatically assumed that everyone else believed this. And so what she would do is she would push people away, and she was nasty. She would yell at people, swear at them, turn her back on them. My first encounter with her was the phone rang at the pre-appointed time, so I knew who it was. And in my very best professional voice, I said, good afternoon, Sue Armstrong. And the voice on the other end of the phone said, so you already know who this is. Let me just tell you, I hate you already. I'm not kidding. This was my first introduction to her. So I don't need to tell you, she was the global vice president. What do you think was happening in the organization underneath her? There was no creativity, no innovation, no employee engagement. Everybody was terrified. So if we look at this from the employee standpoint, this is the problem. And where I say silent killer. This creates a manager-centric culture, not a customer-centric one. Because employees say, oh, I gotta do what my manager wants me to do, because if I don't, at the very least, I'm gonna get in trouble. At the most, I might get sacked. So I know this isn't right for the customer. I know this is the wrong thing to do for the business, but it's what my manager wants me to do. And it causes a massive problem. So what do we do about this? Well, in an organization, obviously, it's a much more complex answer. It requires training, observation, coaching. But there is something we can do right now to start to turn this around, to change this. And this lesson comes from another longtime client of mine named Jane. Now, Jane's had a really interesting life. Jane grew up believing she was worthless, so not good enough. And after trying to be all things to all people all the time, Jane eventually gave up and said, I'm not playing anymore, and found drugs and alcohol to numb her pain. So that led her to a life on the street and gangs. She ended up property of a motorcycle gang. The poor girl's been shot, stabbed, beaten, left on the side of the road for dead. She finally escaped the gang and spent 2 years trying to kill herself because she believed she was so worthless. Until one day, Jane was confronted by an uncomfortable realization. What she realized was the life she was living did not actually match her belief. You see, if she was as worthless as she believed she was, why did she have friends? Why did she have family that still wanted her around? Why was she in a relationship? Why did she have a job? So Jane decided to try and figure out this belief, if it was accurate. And she went to these people and she asked them. She said, what makes me a good employee? And what are my best characteristics? And then, instead of going through her day engaging in her usual belief that she was worthless and finding proof of that, Jane chose to believe somebody else's belief. And every day she chose one of those beliefs and went through her day looking for proof that that was true. And she found it every day. And what do you think happened after a couple of weeks? Oh yeah, that negative cycle turned into a positive one. And it allowed Jane to go from working in a ladies' dress shop to director in a large financial organization in 4 years. So she didn't stop there, she kept doing it. So my challenge to you today, when you, your team members, anybody in your network, when you start the I can't, oh no, it's not possible, they're not going to do this, no. Be Jane. Challenge the belief. Is it real out there in the world, or does it just reside in your own head? Because honestly, you have no idea what is possible for you in this life unless you try. You can just ask Jane, because Jane got that Speaker Booker email as well.